Hi everyone, I'm Lee, I'm an intuitive, and every month I take the pulse on what might be showing up energetically, psychologically, and emotionally. In this month, the energy update for June, 3 of the themes we'll be looking at are balancing the speed of change, the fear factor is losing its power, and doors closing and opening. Stay tuned for the full update. Hello everyone, welcome to the energy update for June and welcome to our healing tree. So I'm this weekend, as this energy update releases, I'm completing my live teaching of my course Next Level Healer. Thank you to all of you from around the world who've been part of it, and it's not too late to join. Everything is now ready and filed for you as replays and worksheets and videos. So more on that at the end of this update. But for today, welcome to June. And it's interesting, as I was gathering all of the themes for today, I noticed there is a focus this month on internal healing. And a lot of the themes relate to what you'll be going through internally, which tells me that, of course, there will be things playing in the outside world as well that will affect us. But usually whenever I see that many themes related to internal healing, it means it's a particularly powerful month that we are entering. Months never happen in isolation. So some of you might have been going through a lot in recent months, and June is going to be a culmination month. But one thing that I'm reading through all these themes is June is certainly not going to be a month of stillness. Quite the opposite. It's going to be a month of rebirth and shift and change. But for many of you, rather than that needing to feel like upheaval, if anything, for many of you, it's going to feel like it's built on the back of everything you've gone through in recent months. So there should be a lot more positive energy for people to experience in their lives, even though we're still in the middle of this massive world shift, which of course brings its ups and downs. But let's start with the first theme for the month, which is balancing the speed of change in 2025. Balancing the speed of change in 2025. So already we know 2025 is a very fast year and a year of lots of change. So the message around balancing the speed of change is this. The speed of change might be ushering you to a next level or next step seemingly fast. Remember, the foundations for this change have been laid for months and years in some cases. But for balance while you're in it, take your moments to reset and distract your focus away from energetics, or change energies and focus on a task, relationship, creation, or something that is holding your focus if you feel overwhelmed. No need to get lost in waves of energy unless you are enjoying that or learning something from it. So I think for the sensitive, times of big movement on the planet or in your own life, there can be a tendency to become unanchored. You either lose your sense of orientation on the ground and you go very into the other realms, or equally you can feel a little too pulled around on the ground to get your upper connection going. So a remedy for this, for any of us when we feel overwhelmed, is always to find something to focus on, to find a small task, a simple task, or a relationship that you have a particularly good experience in, or creating something small and simple. It can be very easy to get magnetized into vast swirls of energy and change, and sometimes we get lost in that state. So the way to bring ourselves back is to focus on the small, the simple, the tangible. So this can be a great way to retrain yourself to reground. And it's not that you're avoiding what's going on or moving through you. I always say that, whatever needs to move through us will find us. We can try and avoid it for a while, but eventually it will find us. I think sometimes I speak to people who feel like they should just be sitting and feeling things at times where actually the feelings will run in the background. They will always run in the background, and there are times when feeling can be overwhelming. So at those moments you need to focus yourself. And the reason this theme came out first even though we're halfway through the year, balancing the speed of change in 2025, I think it's to remind us all how much change is happening this year. And again, like the message says, a lot of it has been building for years. It's not happening overnight, but there is an intensity at which things are moving position on the planet, in our systems, and as a result, also inside us. So it's taking you to your next level or your next step, perhaps faster than you always enjoy or like. But don't forget, this has been coming for a long time. And if you need to reset yourself, focus on the small, the simple, the achievable. For example, I know this is a kind of very domestic example of what I'm talking about, but it can be as simple as reorganizing a cupboard in your house, or something that feels mundane, but by pouring your energy in that direction of organization, you're creating some organization in the chaos. You're creating some focus in the chaos. So it's just a message to remind you that with everything going on around you, make sure you're also directing your attention at times to rebalance everything that's potentially either spinning or changing very fast. Okay. The second theme this month is circular healing. Now, I've spoken about this over the years at various points in the energy updates or workshops, but circular healing is this principle that we all tend to go through. There are certain areas of our life, our development and our growth, that will come back. They will spiral back into our lives, and hopefully, if we're evolving and we're healing and we're moving on and we're letting go of things, the areas of perhaps pain or difficulty or stress for you, they get a little lighter and a little smaller as we go through the years. But they do tend to circle back into our lives. So this is the message that I channeled through for the circular healing theme. I'll read you the few lines that I have here before I reflect on them. And as ever, you can get the written version of these lines if you use the link below the video, if you want to read what I've put here. So circular healing. As part of our upshift in consciousness, you may recognize the circular healing moving through you and your life right now. This can look and feel like short replays or revisits of past patterns or areas of healing for you. And the releases happen far faster now, meaning it can be intense but swift. Embrace rather than resist when it comes, and it will flow through you fast and release you to create your next level. You know, I think I certainly relate to the resisting of things, and then there's usually that moment where you recognize not to resist the change that is upon you or moving through you, and you allow it, and it does move through you fast. But what this particularly relates to is old stories from your life, perhaps past relationships, perhaps past events, perhaps past traumas or past areas of difficulty for you. They will want to rise to heal, so that whatever the wounded or dented energy that we have inside our energy field is, it wants to fill out again. It wants to come back into bloom, and it wants to come back to life force. And what tends to happen is, as we clean up other areas of our life, we, our soul, our energy field go, okay, great. Now let's revisit that pain point that we last revisited 2 years ago, and let's see if we can move some energy over there. So that's how the circle works in your life. So one of the things I've heard many, many times over the years, working for people and with people, people often wonder if they're regressing, but usually you're not regressing, you're just revisiting an old pattern or a part of your past, to re-examine it, to look at it from a different angle, to see it with a new lens or a new sense of compassion now that you've grown and you've gone through other experiences. So there is a lot of that going on the planet now, and there has been for years, but the fact that it's coming up in June tells me that there's going to be a real focus on that for some of us. Perhaps you've been going through that in recent months, and this connects to the first theme, which is that you are actually building to your next level. You're just revisiting some things that need to be part of the change for you. So circular healing. And as I said earlier, if it feels a little intense for you, use all your tools for balancing, grounding, whatever works. But sometimes, if it's getting a little overwhelming or feels burdensome, just focus on something else for a while. Usually the art of well-focused distraction can be a great way to shift your energy to. Theme number 3, mental swirls and mental breakthroughs. Mental swirls and mental breakthroughs. So the message for this one is this. The mind is powerful and it creates powerful stories, safety, and guide ropes for us in how we navigate our lives. It can also be looping old stories, destructive patterns, anxieties, or ideas that we get stuck to and don't know how to release or move through the body. You know, a lot of the time, and it took me a long time to work this out for myself, but a lot of the time when we're very, very mental, we usually need to move. We need to do something, we need to breathe, we need to actually go into the body, because what can happen is when your body is not feeling settled or you are unsettled, it can start to go to the mind, which is often the control center, and the mind starts to wonder what it can do and it starts to spin. So the thing to understand about this is when we've been traumatized, when we've gone through something really deep or dark or heavy or difficult, the mind often gets out of balance because our nervous system has become deregulated to its norm. So the mind doesn't quite know what to do. But there's a flip side to this as well. When you're having a third eye activation, which is your psychic, your visionary, your intuitive seeing, knowing, guiding, it can also disturb the mind a little bit because there is an activation happening in that area of the mental. So this is why this theme says mental swirls and mental breakthroughs. The two often go hand in hand. So the message here is June and July will see a lot of mental breakthroughs that often come after a period of confusion or mind swirl. Notice who is in a mental swirl around you and notice if you get affected by it. This is kind of empath 101. You know, if you're someone who picks up on energies, feelings, thoughts when you're around people, you have to become really good at noticing how you are affected when you leave that person. I've had friends in my life say to me, oh God, I felt really off all afternoon. And I've said to them, well, who were you with a few hours before? And what kind of state were they in? And they go, oh yeah, actually I was with my friend who's very, very anxious. And after I left them, I felt anxious. So sometimes we have to notice how someone else's mental swirl is affecting our energy and just make a note of it or make an adjustment. But to recognize that mental swirls and mental breakthroughs can often happen in tandem. This theme of contraction before expansion that I've shared a lot over the years, that we sometimes pull back and go into something difficult before we have a breakthrough. So there's a lot of mental energy, and it does relate to not just what we see going on in our outer world that really targets the mind. And of course, you know, we have a relationship with our mind around control and the illusion of safety or control that the mind will sometimes give us, which is a survival strategy. It's perfectly okay to have it, but it's good to be mindful of it and aware of it. And especially with this third eye activation energy that I know many of you will be going through, becoming more intuitive, becoming a bit more telepathic, a bit more perceptive, it can throw the mind off because the mind suddenly has this intuitive side moving into what was previously a well-organized control room. So, mental swirls and mental breakthroughs. This might be for you, or it might be what you're noticing in people around you. But what you will notice for yourself is the mental breakthroughs often come after a period of confusion or mind swirl. So if confusion and mind swirl has been you for a while, hold on. Hopefully there's a breakthrough coming for you. Okay. The next theme is, are you remembering to breathe? Are you remembering to breathe? Now, if you're alive and listening to this, yes, you are. But we're talking about conscious breathing. And I'm not even speaking about breath work, or which is very powerful, and meditative breathing is a very powerful exercise. But can you breathe in the moments of beauty and wonder and breathe to calibrate to everything going on and let yourself catch up with all that is happening? This practice helps us to notice while living in a fast changing world. So, are you remembering to breathe? Can you breathe in the moments of beauty and wonder? I know for myself, many years ago, I started to do this consciously because I found that on certain days, we're not often being shown or told about beauty and wonder, depending on who we're with or what's going on. And yet the truth is, in a 24-hour period, there can always be moments of beauty and wonder that we either aren't paying enough attention to or that we can choose to find, even if they're small. I know on some of the days where I really have struggled in the past, it's been really important for me to find a moment of beauty or wonder. But the other side of this, are you remembering to breathe, is are you breathing to calibrate to it all and let yourself catch up with all that is happening? It can be very overwhelming being on the planet, just as a general rule, but especially, at the moment with everything that's flying around and changing. So are you just giving yourself a moment to sit and just breathe and catch up with your body, catch up with yourself? Some of you will do this and you might start crying. You might feel an emotional release. If that happens, that's wonderful. It's really good you stopped, because that was in there, but it didn't have an outlet. It didn't have a moment of space to come out. It was just on to the next thing or receiving the next piece of information. So the body wants to release. It wants to exhale as well as inhale. And we've become a very inhale society with how much comes at us. So we actually have to be in control of the dial. We have to know how to regulate and modulate ourselves. So that's what this refers to. Are you remembering to breathe? Are you remembering to modulate yourself and regulate yourself? Okay. This next theme is interesting to me, the title of it particularly, but I was told I wasn't allowed to change the words. So, heart immunity. Heart immunity. And here are the words that accompany that theme. The emotional heart is steadying. The attraction to fear is waning collectively. This won't be true for everyone, but you yourself may have less time for or attraction to lower vibrations like fear, division, judgment. This can change your relationship to yourself and to others. And you then become an example of that change for others. You may already be noticing your desire to generate love, kindness, beauty, or connection in the world. Now, obviously I haven't met all of you who watch the energy updates, but I've met a lot of you on tour, in workshop rooms, and I know that a theme in those of you that resonate with my work, you do have a desire to generate love, kindness, beauty, or connection in the world. So that's not news to you, but what might have changed is your desire, ability, and impetus to action it, to actually step into it. It's no longer just a dream or a thought, it's actually something you're embodying. I found it very interesting, this message that the attraction to fear is waning collectively. Now, of course, there'll be many out there who that isn't true for, but that the emotional heart on the planet is steadying and is landing more in love and connection as a general rule. So you might right now be divorcing yourself from either situations in your life or relationships in your life or ways of your own behavior that might put you into areas where fear, division, or judgment are a bit more normal, or perhaps not even dominant frequencies, but they're underneath. So that's why this can change your relationship to not just yourself, but also to others. But equally, and this feels more true when I tune in on it, that more of you right now are probably really stepping into being bastions of love, kindness, beauty, and connection in the world. And that helps others create heart immunity. Because the more we meet people who are kind, loving, and good in the world, the more that becomes our normal, the more we also vibrate in that way. The more we have fear pumped in our direction and we respond to fear, the more that disturbs our field. So that leads me to the next theme, which tackles this head on. Fear factor is losing power. Fear factor is losing power. So we are going to see the continuing rise of more alternative media sources and offerings as the old paradigm of fear in media starts to wane in its effectiveness collectively. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out, but we do know these are fairly revolutionary times on Earth and will continue to be for the next year or so, at least. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens around the way we are fed fear stories and stories of all the low vibrations, and very few around transformation, positivity. So the paradigm of fear in media is starting to wane in its effectiveness collectively. There are major changes and events on the global stage happening now and set to continue through the rest of the year, but be mindful of too much emotional reaction to world events that can seem dramatic but will not be catastrophic long term. Much of what we see is the growing pains of change. Notice where you are being asked by either a news source or another human to be seeing something as only negative or catastrophic, and check your own heart. Now, for sure, there are some catastrophic things that we see, of course. It's not that everything that we see that isn't good, but the message here is about how many times we're told to recoil or contract about something. And you know, you may have people in your life, that's the paradigm they're living in, and they try and hand that to you. You personally aren't going to be very interested in the fear factor, and actually you not being interested in it and it not being very contagious to you helps the other person who's still learning to perhaps get rid of it or find an alternative. So these two themes go very hand in hand. Check your own heart and check your own feelings. You can have someone standing in front of you telling you how to think about a certain thing, either because of the way they see it, or worse, the way they see it is how they're telling you you should see it, and it's just fact. We live in a very multidimensional world. We all see things and experience things differently depending on our perspective, our history, our culture, what we've gone through. So it's really important for you to check your own heart around any fear that is handed to you. A person, a news outlet, a story. Is this something you actually feel fear around? Or is this something that someone else just handed you a big dose of fear with that you actually need to let go of because you're not seeing that as true? Very important, and it's going to be a huge discernment piece in the years to come. It's going to be one of the things that really defines who is who in the coming years as we go through these massive changes. Okay, last couple of themes. Doors closing and opening. Doors closing and opening. June through August will be months where endings lead to new beginnings. June through August will be months where endings lead to new beginnings. If you've had a lot of endings in your life in the last weeks, months, or even year or two, this will be a new beginning time for you. You'll be feeling a lot of new beginning energy. Alternatively, if you do experience some endings in the coming days, weeks, or months, know that the new openings will follow swiftly in the later months of the year. It's interesting to me how all throughout this month's energy update, I'm finding a lot of these themes have close mirrors, which is always like very fine healing. Whenever you see a theme that literally mirrors on itself, like doors closing and opening or mental swirl, mental breakthrough, it means we're really in fine healing. So this is also why I think there will be a lot of internal energy for you in June, even though in terms of the energies of the world, it's going to be a bit more extrovert and a bit more outgoing in terms of how you might be living. You yourself on a personal level will be going through some deep internal healing that I think it will be fairly easy for you to contain. That won't feel problematic. It will feel supported. So doors closing and opening, huge shifts for people June through August. And finally, celebration is an energy of joy. Celebration is an energy of joy. What can you celebrate about the last days or months or year? Joy is needed. It is contagious to those ready to open to joy, and it's an energy of vitality and life force in and for the world. You know, many years ago I did a channel, I think it was a live workshop somewhere, and the Z's my guides, were very adamant about joy. They said in the coming years you mustn't forget joy, it's a superpower. And of course, I think the tendency of the human mind and what we've all been trained into is you think, well, how can I be joyous when this person over here is struggling? And the answer to that is you won't be joyous 24/7 for weeks at a time. Very few people have mastered that or can achieve that. Doesn't mean it's not possible. So therefore, you don't have to worry about the times that you actually let joy flood your body. It's vital, and it will actually protect you in some of the harder times, but not just you, it's good for the world. So can we find ways to celebrate in ourselves, for ourselves, about what we're experiencing, and then can we share it? Because joy is a sharing energy. You can definitely have quiet internal joy and a feeling of that for yourself. That's lovely, but joy loves amplification. It loves to amplify with other people. So celebration is an energy of joy. What can you celebrate about the last days or months? And if you're feeling a little, let's say, maybe you're a bit low ebb right now, you're a bit tired, think of someone in your life who loves celebrating with you and you have a nice flow around that, and have a quick conversation with them about something you want to acknowledge about the relationship or what you've experienced together, and that will get the energy going. So that is the energy update for June. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We are very excited that in just over a month, in July, we are running Soul Magic, our week-long energy immersion in beautiful La Jolla, California, which is right by San Diego. And we do still have some spaces left. We have wonderful people coming in from all over the world for Soul Magic, so it's not too late to join. And we also are bringing a 2-day workshop to London called Energy Mastery in September. So check out my events page for all details about those 2 live events. And then also this month, for those of you who would like to experience a free workshop with me, we have something for you called Connect to Your Inner Power. It's all about how to connect with your own channel, your own guidance, your own intuition. I have a workshop called How to Channel and Why. And in celebration of that workshop, we've created this mini free workshop for you. So check the link below the video if you want to experience that free workshop. And last but not least, we have just released a beautiful commemorative booklet called The Big Love Tour. And it's not only about the tour that we went on this last year. We talk about the places we visited, the experiences we had, but we also share stories from the songs and all of the themes from every single show. I know many of you were interested in knowing what the themes were that came through for each different place, each different city. So we have a beautiful free booklet that's available now, and you can find that at the link below, the Big Love Tour commemorative booklet. And that is all from me for this month, but I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're looking after yourselves, finding ways to look after yourselves. And I hope that something in this broadcast has helped. And we'll leave you with a little preview of Next Level Healer for those of you who might like to experience it. Take good care and see you next month.
Embody your unique gifts as a healer.
I think for all of us, this is a next level time on Earth. And therefore that means it's time for the healers of the world to go to the next level in their own ways of being and their ways of serving.
Next Level Healer with Lee Harris. Whether you are a seasoned practitioner or just beginning, join us for channeled guidance, powerful teaching, community engagement, and supportive worksheets, and allow your gifts to bring change, healing, and elevation to the lives of others. This transformative 2-weekend live broadcast is designed to help you cultivate a strong sense of grounded presence while being deeply supported to receive healing energy.
Lee brings out my very best ideas and shows me the way to continue on my path more consciously, and helps me clear away fears, blocks, and the fog that self-doubt can bring, and transforms it into strength and positive energy.
Deepen your creative, intuitive, and visioning abilities, overcome fears of judgment, and expand your outlook from scarcity to abundance to enhance your healing work and guide others with greater clarity and confidence.
We're at a time in the world where more people than ever before are beginning to come up against emotions, experiences, and a world that is asking them to look within, know how to look after themselves, and it's often healers or therapists or facilitators who help us uncover that.
There has never been a time when healers are more needed. Take your healing to the next level. Next Level Healer with Lee Harris.